Okay, the daf, what daf is this? I didn't know this. This is Memdal Ramad Beis. Okay. Not yet. What's the process of nazir tameh? The pasuk talks about if he became tameh, so how does he do to get out of his debt? To start again, and the pasuk says that he brings 3 korbanos, 2 of them are birds, a chata solo for birds, and then he brings a keves for asham. The way the pasuk says is that he has to wait for the 7th day, which of course means that he has to become torah from his tumah, which is the mei chatas for aduma ashes with the water that he sprinkles on, gets sprinkled on the 3rd and 7th day. He goes to the mikvah on the 7th day, and then it says, and takes a haircut. Also says on the 7th day, and then he brings the korbanos on the 8th day. He had to have the sprinkling of the mei chatas on the 3rd and 7th day. He also has to be tovel. The Mishnah doesn't say that, but he has to be tovel also. And he cuts his hair on the 7th day. This is the hair that's not going to count. He's going to have to start again. The whole nazir starts again. And then he brings the korbanos, so maybe korbanos of the shemini. And then it says the Yom HaMarishanim Yiplu, and he starts again. That's really so far as the pasuk. Now it says the case is going to be, the case that the Mishnah is going to talk about is how about Imgilach Bishmini. It's really supposed to be Megalech Bishvi. What's the din Imgilach Bishmini? What does he do if he took a haircut only the 8th day? Does it push off everything? They would usually, he cuts his hair on the 7th day and he brings the korbanos on the 8th day. Now that he did the haircut on the 8th day, maybe he has to bring the korbanos on the 9th day. So it says no. Imgilach Bishmini, maybe korbanos of Bobiyam. Rabbi Kiva said it doesn't push off the korbanos. He could have taken a haircut on the 7th day. He didn't take on the 8th day. He still can bring the korbanos on the 8th day also. Only every time from not being Zelu Mitzvah. What's the difference between this and the Mitzvah? By Mitzvah also, there's something similar that he also is supposed to wait 7 days in the Torah process, and he takes a haircut on the 7th day, and he brings the korbanos on the 8th day. But over there, if he didn't take a haircut until the 8th day, he's going to have to wait until the 9th day to bring the korbanos. How come the nazir is different than the Mitzvah? How come by the Mitzvah, if he postponed, if he delayed the haircut, also get delayed, postponed, and by nazir, you're saying even if he delayed the cutting of the hair, it doesn't until the korbanos. What's the difference? We keep a set it's a big difference. The nazir, his tara depends on the days. Means the haircut is not inherent in the tumah or the tara over here. He has to cut his hair in order to stop the sort of getting rid of that hair. That hair wasn't the good hair. He has to start again, the whole thing. So he cuts off his hair. But the cutting off the hair doesn't make that tara, doesn't have anything to do with the actual tara. So even if he didn't take a haircut, what did he do? He took a hazah shlishi ushvi, and he went to the mikvah on the 7th day. He should have taken a haircut also, but he didn't. But that's not a reason why he shouldn't bring the korbanos, because the mikvah was a good mikvah. Everything he did shlishi ushvi, he went to the mikvah, and now the next day he can bring the korbanos. The fact that he didn't take a haircut is not a reason to push everything off. But mitzorah tarasa tluy b'tiglafto. The mitzorah, his tara process depends on the haircut. It means that if he didn't take a haircut, so then it's stopping the tara process, and therefore, the Rosh explains, he went to the mikvah on the 7th day. It's not a good mikvah because he didn't take a haircut yet, and therefore the next day, the 8th day, he's called Tvul Yom. He's not called Ma'ur Shemesh. And maybe Korban Elam can have Ma'ur Shemesh. Only keeping a Korban after Erev Shemesh. He didn't have Erev Shemesh, even though he went to the mikvah yesterday and the sun came down. It's not called the Erev Shemesh the next day because that mikvah wasn't a good mikvah because there was no haircut before it. So therefore, he goes to the mikvah today. He'll have to wait till tomorrow that he should be Erev Shemesh. So the Mishnah seems to end off. Rabbi Kiva had the last word. Rabbi Kiva said, Rabbi Tafin didn't understand the difference. What's the difference? Here also he should have to wait till the 9th day. But Rabbi Kiva said no, that he could maybe korbanos of bo b'yom, maybe get the whole halach over here. And Gilach b'shmini maybe korbanos of bo b'yom divrei Rabbi Kiva, because even though he didn't take a haircut, it doesn't stop the Torah process. And the fact that he went to the mikveh yesterday, it was fine, and therefore he can have the the korban on the 8th day. Yes,
Okay. I'm reminding you to catch up from yesterday.
okay. So the Mishnah doesn't say if Rabbi Tarfon agreed. It just says Rabbi Kiva said, halacha, Rabbi Tarfon has the kasha. Rabbi Kiva explained, but it doesn't say what Rabbi Tarfon said. Very good. It doesn't say if Tarfon consented. So that's the most question. Kiva lo minei lo. Did Rabbi Tarfon agree to Rabbi Kiva or not? Tani Hillel said over a brisa. It seems Tani Hillel. Maybe it's not the regular Hillel. The regular Hillel doesn't say over a brisa. That's usually lesson for Amora. But it says in the brisa, Gila B'Shmini, maybe Kaponosa B'Shi. The Gemara knows that this brisa is talking about Nazir, and the Rush speaks out that the Gemara knows the brisa is talking about after Rabbi Kiva's explanation. It means this sounds like Rabbi. You hear the words of the brisa over here. That's to. It says Gila B'Shmini, maybe Kaponosa B'Shi. If it's talking about. If it's not talking about Mitzorah, this is the halacha by Mitzorah. This will be very simple. That's very nice. Don't worry about the Mitzorah. That's what we say. Everybody agrees to that. That by Mitzorah it does push off the korbanos has to be the next day. But the Gemara knows it's talking about a Nazir. And the Gemara knows also that it's not Rabbi Tarfon before Kiva asked him. It means Rabbi Tarfon in the question was saying that Nazir should also be the same as Mitzorah, and he should have to be in the korbanos on the 9th day. But the Gemara knows that this is by Nazir after Rabbi Kiva explained himself. And the question is, there's somebody over here that seems still to hold that his korbanos are postponed. If Rabbi Tarfon gave in, so there is no such man diyama. We have in our Mishnah that Rabbi Tarfon held, once upon a time, he held that by Nazir also, if he didn't take the haircut till the 8th day, can't bring the korbanos till the 9th day. That's what Rabbi Tarfon was asking. And Rabbi Akiva said, no, there's a difference. If Rabbi Tarfon agreed to Rabbi Akiva, so there's no such man diyama. There is no such Tana that says that if he took a haircut on the 8th day, he has to be in the korbanos first on the 9th day. There must be. Must be that Rabbi Tarfon did not agree, and Rabbi Tarfon stays to his opinion that even by us, if he didn't take a haircut, he can't bring the korbanos till the 9th day. But the Gemara says not true. We can't say that Rabbi Tarfon agrees to Rabbi Akiva. There's no machlokas. Everybody holds that by Nazir, he doesn't postpone the korbanos, even though he didn't take the haircut until the 8th day. He brings the korbanos the same day. So what does the Brisa say over here? That maybe korbanos of b'shvi, had the tavel b'shvi, had the low tavel b'shvi. It has nothing to do with the gilach. It really means like tavel b'shmini. The reason the Rosh says that, the reason why he says gilach is because usually it goes together. That he doesn't go to the mikvah until after he takes the haircut. But the main point of the Brisa is not the haircut. The haircut wouldn't bother us if he would have pushed it off to the Shmini. The point is that it wasn't even Tovel. He didn't even go to the mikvah on the Shmini. That's the problem. The Tovel also is talking about he was Tovel. He just didn't take a haircut. That it says it's not a problem. That the Torah is not totally in the haircut, it's totally in the days. And of course the mikvah. But if he didn't go to the mikvah on the 7th day, so then he's can't bring the korbanos on the 8th day because he's not a Erev Shamish. He didn't go to the mikvah yesterday. So even though it's a little bit dochak in the Brisa, because it says Gilach B'Shmini, it really means to say Lo Taval B'Shmini, that he wasn't even Taval B'Shvi. So the Gemara is happy to say that Rabbi Tarfon agrees to Rabbi Akiva that the Giluach alone is not Ma'akev, and even if he took a haircut on the 8th day, he can bring the korbanos the same day. But if he didn't go to the mikvah, then he has to. Then everything gets pushed off. And that sugya, a big period to that sugya, and that's over. We're going to pass it anyway, like Rabbi Akiva. The question only was what Rabbi Tarfon holds, but for sure we're going to pass like Rabbi Akiva. And even if he didn't take haircut till the 8th day, he can bring the korbanos the same day. And the mark comes out even if also more. So this is going to take us. It doesn't have anything. I think that the rest of the Gemara doesn't really have to do with our Mishnah. This has to do with the halacha of the Torah that we saw. The seder of what Nazir Tomei is supposed to do. He has a shalosh shlishi shvi. He goes to the mikvah, and he brings the korbanos on the next day. As far as I saw, I didn't understand that this Gemara coming up has anything to do with the Mishnah. It has to do with the pasuk about a Nazir Tomei. So here starts the Gemara. Amar Abaye, Ashkachtinu l'chavei de Rav Nosson bar Oshaya. Ashkachtinu.
You forgot?
No, I didn't translate it even yet. Amar Abaye, Ashkachtinu l'chavei de Rav Nosson bar Oshaya d'Yasmin v'Karmen. I found the friends of Rav Nosson bar Oshaya that were sitting and saying. I'm not sure why it's attributed to be the friends. Usually you say the talmidim of somebody, his friends, like The group were the friends of Rabbi Nosson Bar Shai. Interesting. What?
The Chevron.
The friend, but it means Rabbi Nosson, he's the head, he's the leader of the friends. Like, what does it mean? It doesn't say Islamidim. His friends. So the Chabura, but it says Chabura. I'm not sure why it's called that. Interesting term. So I found the friends of Rabbi Nosson Bar Shai that was sitting and saying the following. This pasuk is talking about Azov. Azov is Tameh for 7 days. And if he saw 3 times, if he saw 2 times, he has to bring a korban. He's tummy for 7 days. But if he sees 3 times, 3 intervals, whatever those halacha and Masechah Zavin, so a zav, then he has to bring a korban. The korban he brings is 2 birds, one for a chatas, one for a nola. The pasuk when it talks about this, the korbanos, it says uval lifnei moed ulesalam al kohen. That's the pasuk. A pasuk by the zav. I think Parashas Mitzvah. And he comes before Hashem to the Pesach Ol Moed, that he gives it to the Kohen, and the Kohen makes one for a Chatas, one for a Novi. That's the pasuk. And now the Gemara talks about it. Ein v'sayu ba b'zman shu tabal v'asa herav shemesh. In lo tabal v'asa herav shemesh lo. He only could come to bring his karbanos if he already had mikvah tabal. He already immersed himself, and he had herav shemesh, means it's yesterday. But if he didn't go to the mikvah yesterday, didn't prepare shemesh, then he can. So that's to read the pasuk. The pasuk again is in Vayikra Tezvav. It's talking about. Right. So it's talking about Zav, and it says that he counts 7 days, that he's clean from any kind of emission, and he goes to the mikvah. The chivus begod of rochas b'sor b'mayim chaim. Over there, he has to have a special kind of a mikvah, not a regular mikvah. He can't go to the mikvah. He has to go to mayim chaim, to a spring. V'toher. So what did he do? He counted 7 days. On the 7th day, he immerses himself. Then it says, that's the pasuk we just mentioned, that he takes these 2 birds and he brings when it comes to the Pesach Ol Moed, he gives it to the Kohen, and the Kohen makes 1 chatas and 1 ola, and he becomes Toher. So what did it say? That the Zav is Tovel on the 7th day, and he brings the Kabbanis on the 8th day. And what did these friends of Rabbi Nosson Bar Shai say? In the pasuk says that he only could come if he already had Tvila and have Shemesh. But if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to come. Lo Tabal Vasav Shemesh Lo. He can't bring the Kabbanis on the 8th day if he didn't immerse himself yesterday. That was their, so they learned out, this was their inference that they got from here. They learned from here. A Tvul Yom means somebody went to the mikveh already, but he didn't have Shemesh. As before that, he's not called a Tvul Yom. The person is Tameh, then he goes to the mikveh. Once he goes to the mikveh, he's called a Tvul Yom.
He waits for sundown.
And then the sundown, it's called Herav Shemesh. That's anybody that's Tameh. First there's a stage where he's Tameh. He goes to the mikveh. He's called a Tvul Yom until the evening. And then by Seisek HaChavim, he becomes, or Herav Shemesh, or Shkia, he becomes a Herav Shemesh. So they were bothered. Why does he have to have Herav Shemesh in order to bring the Korbanos? The pasuk says by Yisrael, he goes to the mikvah on the 7th day, and he doesn't bring the Korbanos until the 8th day. Why doesn't he bring the Korbanos on the 7th day? The Gemara understands the only reason why he can't is because he can't bring the Korbanos. He can't come into the Beis HaMikdash.
So when does he go to the mikvah? During the day?
Yeah.
So you go, let's say, 12, 1 o'clock.
Right, but he's
And
still
then
and then at night he's Herav Shemesh, and then the next day he'll be able to bring the
So
Korbanos.
basically, once after he goes to the mikvah, that he can't bring it in the afternoon. That's
That's what he's saying, right? Why can't he bring it the same day? Once he went to the mikvah on the 7th day, middle of the 7th day, so he's at full yom,
Right,
and now the tumor went off. He went to the mikvah.
Maybe
So
it's
why
not a
can't-
full, maybe until the time is up, he's not fully cleansed.
So that's what we're talking about.
You know, it was a full
Well,
day.
the more is it bothered that he should be able to go once he's at full yom, he should be able to go to bring the korbanos. There's nothing stopping him. The Gemara understands the reason why he can't bring the kabbanis because something's stopping him. So what does it mean he's not fully cleansed? So the Gemara understands that it has to do with the halachas of going into the Beis Hamikdash. He goes to the Beis Hamikdash, that Yavi Shtei Sobrim, Uval Lefnei Hashem, El Pesach Ol Moed, he comes to the Pesach Ol Moed, and he brings them to the Kohen. So where is he going to go? On the 8th day, where is he going to go? He's going to go to the Pesach, up to the Beis Hamikdash. He's going to go, the Gemara is going to say that he can't, even on the 8th day, he's not going to be able to go into the Beis Hamikdash. He's going to go till Sharnikana, which is the entrance, the eastern entrance, which is not in Machne Shechina. There's Machne Shechina, Machne Levia.
Why? Because he can't enter until the Korban?
Right. It seems to be a given that he can't enter until, we'll see the end of the Gemara. He can't enter the Beis HaMikdash proper, into the Chatzar, into the Azorah, the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, the inner courtyard, not the outer courtyard. We had by the Megillah says the Chatzar Pnimis, Chatzar Achitzona. So this is the Chatzar Pnimis, the regular Azorah, the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash is called Machne Shechina. And even after he would have had Herav Shemesh, he can't go into the Beis HaMikdash. He has to only go to the entrance, which is still Machne Levia.
Excuse me, we're talking about the nazir?
No, we're talking about Parshas Metzorah by a
The
Zav.
Metzorah, the Zav.
No, not Metzorah. Parshas Metzorah,
We're talking
A
about the
Zav.
Zav.
Talking about a
We're
Zav.
talking about a
a
Zav.
Zav. A
He
Zav.
can't come in until after, now we're assuming he can't come in until after the Korban. Is Makri? We don't know.
We're going a little slower. It's simple to the Gemara that even on the 8th day, when he brings his karbonas, he can't go into the Azar. He can't go into Machne Shechina because he didn't bring his karbonas yet. And we'll see that at the end of the Sugi. So where is he going to go on the 8th day? He's only going to go till the entrance, which is still Machne Levia. And the courtyard, and there's Nashim, the outer courtyard. So he can go on the 8th day because he's already a Herav Shemesh.
Well, why does he need Erev Shemesh?
And why does he need Herav
It
Shemesh?
seems that why couldn't he go in the afternoon?
Why couldn't he have gone on the 7th day after he went to the mikvah? He should
He
also
should
be
still
able to
be
go
able
to Machne Levia.
Yeah.
So just a little background. Who's not allowed to go to Machne Levia? Which is Har Bayis today. Tamei Meitz is allowed to go to Machne Levia. Means, how do people go to Har Bayis nowadays? Halachically, how are they allowed to go to Har Bayis? So we don't have paraduma nowadays. People wear Tamei Mason. We don't have the ashes of the paraduma, so no one can get out of that. So the reason why they're allowed to go is because it is not also for a Tamei Mace to go into Machne Levia. They can't go
And
to
the mikveh doesn't help the tummy mix.
No, Tamei Mace has to have the sprinkling of the
Yeah.
paraduma. Shlishi or Shvi.
So that, what is that? Just
So-
why did they go to the mikveh then?
So Tamei Mace is allowed to go to Machne Levia.
Okay.
But a Zav or a Balkari is not. So when people go to Har Bayis, the reason why they go to the mikvah is because if they're a Balkari or a Zav would need Mayim Chaim, but if they're a Balkari, now they can't go in Har Bayis, which is Machne Levia, but they go to the mikvah, so then they could.
I see.
But
Takes away that.
takes away the
that-
tumah of the Zav and Balkari, of the Balkari. But they have no
still
problem
Tamei
of Tumas Mace because they're still Tamei Mace. But a Tamei Mace is allowed to go into Machne Levia, which is Har Bayis. Here, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about that he's only going to go to Machne Levia. He's not going to go to Machne Shechina. Even on the 8th day, he's not going to go to Machne Shechina because he didn't bring his karbonos yet. So he's only going to go to Machne Levia. And it seems to say that he only can go to Machne Levia after he had Herav Shemesh. Because the Torah doesn't say to bring the karbonos on this to go in on the 7th day after he went to the mikvah, only on the 8th day after the sun came down. Herav Shemesh. So that must mean that full yom shel zav kizav dami, that he has the same status. That usually the full yom takes the tumah down a little bit, but as far as this, it seems that the full yom didn't take it down, because if the full yom would have taken it down, and the full yom of a zav or a balkari for that matter, I think maybe at this point it's going to change them, but. The question would be, if someone goes to the mikvah from a tumah of a zav, can he go to Machne Levia? The fact that the Torah doesn't allow him to bring the karbonos on the 7th day, only on the 8th day, the Gemara understands the difference is because in order to go into the Machne Levia, he has to have had Herav Shemesh, and even though he went to the mikvah on the 7th day, he still cannot go in. Not Machne Shechina. Machne Shechina, he can't go there next day either, even after Herav Shemesh. After brings the karbonos. But even to get into Machne Levia, full yom was not good enough. He has to wait until Herav Shemesh. That's what they said. This was the friends of Nassim Bar Ashaya. since the pasuk says that he goes to the Ol Moed, when is he coming? Only it says after Tefillah and Erev Shemesh, he goes on the 8th day. The eighth day, he comes to the Pesach Ol Moed. And we know the Pesach Ol Moed means Machna Leviyah. And how come he can't come on the 7th day? It must be that Tvul Yom Shel Zav Kizav Dami.
Who's Kasava?
Oh, Alma Kasava, interesting.
We thought that meant these,
No, they're
the
talking.
Chabura.
They're the ones who are talking. They are saying that he holds Tvul Yom Shel Zav Kizav Dami. So who's he hold? That's an interesting, I didn't notice that. That the Torah holds. Kasava, Alma, maybe the word Kasava is hard. Yeah, that would be interesting to look up the Gersos. Alma Tvul Yom Shel Zav Kizav Dami. Nice. So that was what they said. Abaye found the friends of Abu Nassim Bar Ashai that said, from the fact that the Torah does not allow the Zav Amin Elohun no. And Abaye said to them that there can't be a proof. What was the whole proof? The fact that the Zav cannot bring the Kabbanis on the 7th day after he went to the mikvah must be because a Tvul Yom of a Zav is also not allowed to go into Machna Leviyah. So the kasha is going to be, just a preview, that it says the same thing by a Nazir Tameh. A Nazir Tameh, he's, what was he? He was a Nazir and he became Tameh Mace. So he has, everything falls down. He has to start all over again. What does he do? He has to become Torah, of course. Like Amisha says, he has to have Hazor Shlishi Shvi, and then he goes to the mikvah on the 7th day, takes a haircut, fine. And then on the 8th day, he brings his kabbanas. The same question you ask by a Zav, you can ask by a Nazir Tameh also. How come he has to wait till the 8th day? Why can't the Nazir Tameh bring the kabbanas on the 7th day? What are you going to say? Because he's Tvul Yom of a Tamei Mace is like a Tamei Mace. But that doesn't make a difference over here because the Tamei Mace is also allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. This person, the Nazir Tamei, is also going to only go to Machna Leviyah. Where is he going to go? The Nazir Tamei on the 8th day.
We're comparing the Nazir to the Zav.
Yes. I was saying that it says the same halacha. The same halacha is that he goes to the mikvah on the 7th day and he brings the kabbanas on the 8th day. Where does he go on the 8th day? He also doesn't go into the Machna Shechina because he didn't bring his. He's only going to go to So why can't he go on the 7th day? Why can't he go on the 7th day? At the Tvul Yom, the Tamei Mace is like a Tamei Mace, but that doesn't work over here because the Tamei Mace is also allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. Like we just said, that's how people do nowadays. The people who go to Harabais, they're Tamei Mace. They go to Machna Leviyah. There's no issue for a Tamei Mace to go to Machna Leviyah. So how come the Nazir Tamei cannot bring his kabbanas?
He cannot go to the Machne Leviyah?
Who?
The Nazir.
He can't go to Machna Leviyah. He can't go. We don't allow him to go on the 7th day. The Torah says he goes on the 8th day. The Torah says he goes to the mikvah on the 7th day. Hazor Shlishi Shvi, it becomes Torah on the 7th day. The 8th day. Why? Why not bring the korban on the 7th day? What are you going to say? What same question we asked by the Zav? Why does he bring the kabbanas on the 7th day? Before we said because he needs to have Shemesh to do what? To go to Machna Leviyah.
Oh,
that only made sense by a Zav because a Zav is not allowed to go to Machna
can't
Leviyah.
mean that.
Right. Why does Zav that a Zav not allowed to go to Machna Leviyah? So we can say the reason why the Tvila, the Tvul Yom of a Zav cannot go because he also the Tvul Yom of the Zav is also like a Zav. And just like a Zav cannot go to Machna Leviyah, so the Tvul Yom of a Zav can also not go to Machna Leviyah. Fine, that's what they said. That's what the friends of Nassim Bar Shai said. But the Abai says that it works for a Zav, but it doesn't work by a Tamei Mace. And the Nazir is only a Tamei Mace. What did the Nazir? Well, the Nazir became a Tamei Mace. That's what happened, right? He became a Tamei Mace. And also the Torah says, go to the mikvah on the 7th day and bring the kabbanas on the 8th day. Why? Why not bring it on the 7th day? You could, because we're going to say because he's out Tvul Yom only. even if he wouldn't be a full yom, it's no problem for a full yom of a tummy mace to go into Machna Levia. There's no problem for a tummy mace to go into Machna. I think there's no problem even for the corpse to come to Machna Levia. So it doesn't work. That's not the reason. You can't deduce from here that full yom is of kizav, because that wouldn't explain by a nazir tummy. Here's the Gemara inside. I told them, Nami, the Chsiv. Yovio so El Akohen Al Pesach Oel Moed. It says that he brings the kabbanis on the 8th day. What are you going to say? When is he supposed to come? Only after he did Harav Shemesh. And he doesn't come on the 7th day. And ask the kasha, why not? Top of the next page. Not sure why it's not going. Okay.
Will we remember the person?
And the end of the person,
Okay. The Pesach Oil Moed.
Pesach Ol Moed. That's the end of the
Yeah, I see.
pasuk. And what do you say? That he comes after we did Tefillah and Harav Shemesh. And they ask the same question: why doesn't he come before? Why can't he go on the 7th day? Mechli Shani Kanor Hechem Kaimen B'Shar Levia. Where is he going to go to? He's only going to go to the Nikanor gates. This is in Machna Levia, and there's no problem to go to Machna Levia if he's a Tamei Mace. But Tanya Tamei Mace Motel Likonis Machna Levia. That someone who was Tamei because he touched a mace is allowed to go into Machna Levia. And not only that, this is extra credit already. Below Tamei Mace Bovad, even the corpse alone is allowed to be brought into Machna Levia. How do we know? Shenema Vayikach Moshe Asas Moshe Yosef Imo, that Moshe, when he was coming out of Mitzrayim with the Bnei Yisrael, it says he took the bones of Yosef, which is Tamei Mace. My Imo b'mechitzaso, Imo b'Machna Levia. Moshe Ben was Machna Levia. He was Machna Levia. He was a Levi. He was together with the other Levia. So he took the Asmos Joseph with him. Whenever they were traveling, he had the Asmos Joseph with him. That means the mace was in Machna Levia. So
This is just proving that we can't compare it to the Zav.
right,
It's proving that the tummy mace can go into the Machna Levia.
right, and therefore there's no reason why he shouldn't bring the Kabbalah on the 7th day.
Huh.
So your deduction was wrong. You wanted to deduce from the fact that the Zav cannot bring the Kabbalah on the 7th day because full Yom the Zav Kizav. That's not going to work over here. And you're going to have to find the pshat over here why he's not allowed to, and therefore apply it also to the Zav also. Ella. So there's a question of the Gersos over here, but we'll go with the Rosh if it's okay. Ella, you can say I'm Rabbi, or you could leave it out, but full Yom Shel Zav, you have to put in the word love over here, right here. Between these two words, you have to put in the word love. Ella, Full Shel Zav, love Kizav Dami. Rabbi is still talking, and he's disproving, he's arguing, he's challenging the Chaverim of Rav Nosson Bar Ashaya. And he says, really, I'll tell you, Tful Yom Shel Zav is not Kizav Dami. Just to see the rush inside that he has this girsa. Here it is. Tful Yom Shel Zav Lav Kizav Dami. The rush had the word Lav. In our text, it says Kizav Dami. I saw in the girsos, in the Kisvayah, there are 2 girsos. So we'll go with that girsa. That Abai is saying that you're wrong. I can tell you, really, Tful Yom Shel Zav is not a Zav. That's not the reason. And a regular Tful Yom would be able to go into Machna Levia once he was Tova. Here it's worse, because he's a Mechusa Kapara. So Mechusa Kapara means that he didn't bring his Kabbanis yet. The simple words of the Gemara might have sounded like that a Mechusa Kapara is not allowed to go into Machna Levia, but that's not true. A Mechusa Kapara is allowed to go to Machna Levia. So what does the Gemara mean? So the Rosh explains that he's a Mechusa Kapara and also only a Tful Yom. Means he has 2 things going against him. The person who has to bring a korban the next day, or today, he's called a Mechusa Kapara. If he didn't even go to them, if he didn't even have Harav Shemesh, then there are 2 strikes against him. He didn't even have Harav Shemesh, and he also didn't bring a Kapara. There are two steps to go still. He has to have sundown coming, and he also has to bring the Kapara the next day. So, or whatever. So that's what the Gemara. Abai says the maximum you can learn out over here is not this what you wanted to say, full Yom Dezav Kizav. It's not going to help. The point is going to be because he's missing 2 things. He's a full Yom, and he's also Mechusa Kapara. He's a full Yom without Harav Shemesh, and he also didn't bring his Kapara. So that's the reason we don't let him to go to Machna Levia. It's a Chiddush in the words of the Gemara. Maybe the concept is also a Chiddush, but what Rosh is saying is that Abaye is understanding both by the Zav and by the Nazir Tomei. Both of them have to bring a korban on the 8th day. Both of them have to bring a korban. The reason you don't let him bring the korban on the 7th day is because he can't go to Machna Levia. Why can't he go to Machna Levia? Because he's a doesn't have hair of shemesh, and also he hates chayv korban. But if it will be somebody that doesn't missing hair of shemesh, but he's not a mechusik kapara, he would be able to go into machna leviyah. Just to translate it into small change to be able to understand what I'm talking about. Let's say nowadays a Balkari, someone wants to go to Har Bayis without all of the political or halachic issues doesn't seem to be, but whatever reason people, if the halachic issue going into Har Bayis, someone is a Balkari and he goes to the mikveh. Could he go to Har Bayis the same day? Or does he have to wait until the next day? Does he have to have Erev Shemesh? So according to what
According to this, he could go the same day.
according to
According
Abayim,
to the top here.
right? According to what the
According to
Abayim
Abayim.
of Nassan said, he wouldn't be able to. So before I said a mashal about a Balkari also, Balkari doesn't bring a korban. Balkari just has to go to the mikveh. He doesn't have to bring a korban. A Zav that saw 3 times, he has to bring a korban. But they didn't. They understood that you see from the fact that he can't come to bring his korbanos on the 7th day is because full yom shel zav kizavdami. That would mean that full yom shel Balkari is also a Balkari. That if he can't, if a Balkari is not allowed to go into Machna Leviyah, so going to the mikveh alone is not enough. He has to wait till Har Shemesh.
He
Why?
would not be able to. So
He would not be able
he
to,
would not be, according to them.
according to them. But Abai said it can't be. That's not true because that wouldn't explain why the Nazir Tameh cannot bring the korban on the 8th day, on the 7th day. So Abai says you're wrong. Full yom shel zav lav kizav dami. He had a problem is only because he has 2 things against him, but he's also didn't have Erev Shemesh, and he also didn't bring his korban. That's why we don't let him come to Machna Leviyah. But somebody that doesn't have to bring a korban, like a Balkari, or the Rosh says Zav that only saw 2 times, he didn't say 3 times, so he doesn't bring a korban, or other people that don't bring a korban, once they're at full yom, they're allowed to go into that Machna that they would be allowed to. So here we're talking about Machna Leviyah. We at full yom is allowed to go into Machna Leviyah. The only point is that if he's at full yom without Erev Shemesh and also a no korban, he's missing a korban, so then he cannot go to Machna Leviyah.
And you can go to the Nazir Torah, you're gonna call him also.
And the Nazir Tam is also called the Mechusik Kapara. That's an interesting point of listeners bringing that. That which korban is he missing? The fact of his tumah, a person who's tummy mace doesn't bring a korban. He does has Azar Shlishi Shvi, goes to the mikvah, and he's tumah. He doesn't. A tumas mace doesn't bring a korban.
But he has to get sprinkled.
Yes,
Okay. Oh, but there's no korban.
there's no korban.
It's just the procedure.
Yeah, he gets sprinkled on the 3rd and the 7th day. He goes to the mikvah on the 7th day, and then he's tumah.
Ah.
So there is no korban over here. The Nazir Tameh does bring a korban, not because he was tameh, but because it was a Nazir Tameh.
Yeah.
And that's the korban we saw over there that it brings the 2 birds and the
Sheep.
keves la'asham,
keves.
right? The keves la'asham, and the Rosh is saying that that's pshat. There is a mechusik kapara on the isser of going into Machna Leviyah, which is
Kapara is for Nazir, let's say. But
Right.
But the Erev Shemesh is for
for the tumas mace,
which is mutter.
right? So l'chora, you must l'chora. The Rosh means to say that this pshat is going to say that the Nazir Tameh is something to do with the tumah. It's not 2 separate issues. It's not like has to be like someone was Machal Shabbos and he has to bring a korban chatas, right? Because and he also happens to be a Tvul Yom. We're not going to say that put the 2 things together that he's chayv a korban also. No, here the tumah of the Nazir Tameh has something to do that he became a Tameh mace with the Nazirus. A regular person doesn't have an aver to become Tameh, but a Nazir does have an aver to become Tameh. So this is called Mechusik Kapara. I think it's a nice kasha. I think this is the answer. That this is considered that it's a korban that has to do with the tumah, even though a regular Tameh mace doesn't bring a korban, but the Nazir Tameh does bring a korban. And as long as he didn't bring the korban, he's called Mechusik Kapara. He's called that he's lacking the korban, and therefore the 2 things together, that also he didn't have Erev Shemesh, plus he's chayv the korban, that doesn't allow him to go into Machna Leviyah.
But then how does he bring the korban?
On the 8th day,
How can he get there?
he goes
He
to
didn't-
Machna Leviyah.
He didn't bring it yet. Oh,
He's only Mechusik Kapara, but he has Erev Shemesh already. 1 strike against him doesn't stop him from going to Machna Leviyah, but both of them together. So on the 7th
2
day,
strikes against him. He can't go that day. But once it's Erev Shemesh.
so then he doesn't have that problem. Only there's 1 problem.
Now
Mechusik
he'll-
Kapara.
Ah,
Mechusik Kapara may go to
he's
Machna
allowed.
Leviyah. He can't go to Machna Shechina. He can't go into the Beis Hamikdash. He can't go into Chatzar Pnimis. But he can stay outside and
But that's how he's different than the Tumas Mace.
right. Regular Tommy Mace
Tummy
is
Mace.
even the Tommy Mace is not to go, even if he's Tommy Mamish, that's something else. Tommy Mace is Mamish is not to go to Machna Leviyah.
He just goes to the mikveh and he doesn't have area.
Yes, he doesn't,
Or he doesn't have any
he
strike.
doesn't even go, again, Tommy Miss doesn't have to go to the mikvah. He can go to Har Bayis even when he's coming. We're talking
Oh,
about Zoh. Maybe you meant to be talking about
no,
Zoh.
no, I'm not telling you.
Tommy Miss, even a
Oh,
mace,
he has no, oh, he has
even a
no.
mace himself could go to Har Bayis.
Uh-huh. And then there's.
So,
When did the Machne Shechina start? Was it Mishkan?
where is the Machne Shechina?
Before the Mishkan.
But by the Mishkan, so the courtyard is also called Machne Shechina.
But before the Mishkan.
There was no Machne Shechina before the Mishkan.
So how do they prove that a mace could be there? Because when Moshe bought the bones of Yosef, that was before the Mishkan.
No, they had the Mishkan also the whole time. We had Vayikach Moshe Sas Moshe Yosef Imo, even after they had the Mishkan.
I'm saying before they had the Mishkan.
Yeah,
You mean
so
all the
there was
time
no
in the
problem.
desert?
And when in Mitzrayim, when Moshe took Asma Joseph in Mitzrayim, there was no Machna Leviyah yet. That wasn't a
Right.
problem. There was no
Yeah.
halacha kitchen. But when they built the Mishkan and he still had Asma Joseph, he had it for 40 years. So it was
But how do you know? Okay, Moshe didn't have them, the bones.
he did. He kept it with him. That's what the Gemara is mentioning. Not back to find the saying. The pasuk that says he took them with him. When he took them by Mitzrayim, there was no Machna Leviyah.
So it wouldn't matter.
So it wasn't a problem. But I think the Gemara means to say that he left them with him all the 40 years. It was always been Mechitzasa. He kept the bones of Yosef next to him. That means it was in Machna Leviyah, and there was no Isser to have the bones of Yosef in Machna
Like
Leviyah.
outside the tent, in the machna.
In the Machna Leviyah, it means the Mishkan with the courtyard is all Machna Shechina, and then the Levium was surrounding that, Gershon, Kos, Merari, and Moshe. So that was Machna Leviyah, and he was allowed to have the bones over there. That's where he kept the bones of Yosef. So you
But
see, yes.
Because the second Pesach, the people who were tummy couldn't. So Moshe wasn't tummy then. The other people to take care of the bones.
I'm not following.
For Pesach, the second year, when they pay with Mitzvah Pesach Sheni,
Yes.
because people were tummy. So to say these were people who were also with the bones of Yosef.
That's true.
But it wasn't Moshe.
I'm not following. We're not talking about if Moshe was touching it or not. It was by
It was
by
probably
him.
not
It was
box,
in
right?
it was in his tent. It was by him. That's where the Asmas Yosef were. The Gemara over
It was
there, after
probably-
Gemara says Asmas Yosef, the Gemara says that that wasn't the problem because that was a long time ago when they touched the bones and they could have become Torah since then. There was no reason that the Gemara rejects that answer. But the point is where they were, not talking about if they touched them, who touched them, we're talking about where were they? If the bones were by Yosef, by Moshe's Ohel in his area, so that's the raya that the bones are allowed to be in Machna Leviyah. Make sense?
I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, maybe I'm not following the question. Okay, so where's Abaye say? How did Abaye say? The Rosh will say he's also Mechusik Kapora, therefore lo ayil, therefore he can't go into Machna Leviyah. Period. The rest of the Gemara now, I didn't get the pshat that I got so far is that it's not Dafka what Abaye said before, but the whole Gemara understood that he's not going to Machna Shechina. The whole Gemara from the beginning, this Gemara understood that he's not going to Machna Shechina. He's going, even when he comes to the Old Moed, the Zov and the Baal and the Nazir Tamid, only going to Machna Leviyah. But it says in the pasuk Pesach Old Moed, Ve'i b'Machna Leviyah koi amai kokori le Old Moed. He's not going into the Pesach Old Moed. He's only going to the Shar Nikanor. He's only going to Machna Leviyah. Why is the pasuk called the Pesach Old Moed? Pesach Old Moed sounds till the or entry into the Old Moed, not the entry into the Mishkan, not the entry into the Chatzar, but the entry into the Mishkan itself, into the
Inside.
and that's already Machna Shechina. If you read the pasuk simply, it doesn't say that he goes to Shar Nikanor. He goes to Machna Leviyah. It sounds like he goes into the inner courtyard, Chatzar HaPnimis, not the Chatzar HaChitzona. We have yesterday with the Megillah, Chatzar HaPnimis, Chatzar HaChitzona. Esther wanted to go to the Chatzar HaPnimis. Someone went to the Chatzar HaChitzona. There's an outer courtyard, the inner courtyard. So it's in the pasuk Pshat, the pasuk sounds like this person when he reads the Kabbalah, he comes into Machna Shechina, he comes into the inner courtyard. And the Gemara whole time is saying no, he only goes to the outer courtyard, Machna Leviyah. That's the whole discussion. Is he allowed to go to Machna Leviyah yet? Why is the pasuk called it Ol Moed? He's not going into the Pesach Ol Moed. He's going by the Pesach of the entry into the Chatzar. The drasha is the memra mahasa mechusik kapara lo ayil It's coming to say a drasha to teach you that he's not allowed to go in to Machna Leviyah. The Rosh is going to say again, not to tell you that a Mechusar Kapara is not allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. A Mechusar Kapara together with somebody who's only a full yom. The combination of not having had to have shemesh plus he's missing a kapara, he's not allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. But a regular person who's only Mechusar Kapara, he's allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. That's what we're telling you. We're telling you he's allowed to go to Machna Leviyah. But we're saying that this drasha is going to be a halachic drasha to say that a person who has these two problems, he's not allowed to go into Machna Leviyah even.
I'm having a little problem with the Mishkan. The Mishkan,
Was the building of the Mishkan,
and it had like 50 amos long and everything.
that was the courtyard. The 50 amos, you're talking 50 amos wide, 100 amos long.
Okay,
The Mishkan itself was 30 by 10. That was the crushing with the Mizbeach, the Kodesh.
that was what?
That was the Mishkan itself. That was 30 by 10.
That was 30 by 10, but then there was another,
Then there was a courtyard with 100 by
which
50.
also had something covering it, right?
No. Covering it?
The Mishkan is all mine.
Mishkan is all Moed, and that's 30 by 10. 30 amos by 10 amos. That was the crushing that they made together with Danim, the sockets that was the building itself, 20 by 20.
And these curtains that went over.
That was covered by curtains, yes.
Yeah.
That was the Mishkan itself, the old Moed, that's 30 by 10.
And that's always when we see a picture, we see that.
Yeah, but you also see always in the picture, you see that there's a courtyard that's surrounded by curtains.
A
That's
courtyard surrounded by curtains.
That doesn't have any
Just
covering on top.
freestanding curtains
Right,
around it.
right, and that's 100 by 10, 100 by 50.
That's 100 by 50. Oh, and that's
Called inner
not the
courtyard.
Mishkan.
There
That's
is-
called the courtyard.
That's called the courtyard. And it's also Machna Shechina.
Okay.
Machna
And
Leviyah
oh,
was outside those curtains where the
and
Leviyah
where's
was.
the old Moed?
That is the old Moed. The Mishkan is the old Moed.
That whole thing with the curtains.
If you want to be specific, the old Moed is only the Mishkan, the building, the 30 by 10. And
Okay.
okay. And that whole thing is called Chatzar. The Chatzar also is included in Machna.
Where was
Shechina.
it when Miriam got Tsaras? And Hashem said, come to the old Moed.
She didn't have Saras yet.
Okay, where did they stand? Where did the three of them stand?
Let's say Pesach Old Moed. Let's say you want to say they're inside the courtyard. Let's say, okay.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know.
And now, so now what are we saying about the courtyard?
What does that have to do with Miriam? What does that have to do with the Saras?
Nothing. I just am visually trying to
I
understand.
don't know if they came to the entrance to the courtyard, they came the entrance into the Old Moed, I don't know.
Okay.
But then she became Matzah, then she has to go out of even Machna Yisrael.
Yeah, okay. But so now what are we saying about the courtyard?
It's Machna Shechina. That's considered Machna Shechina. And a Tameh is not allowed to go there.
Well, the bones wouldn't have been in there anyway.
Machna Leviyah.
Machle Levi.
Machna Leviyah means when Moshe
Okay.
Rabbeinu lived. Around the
Yeah,
Mishkan,
yeah.
around the courtyard, the Leviyim lived. Gershon, Kos, Merari, Moshe. So that was Machna Leviyah, and the bones were there. So
Yeah.
it means that a mace is allowed to come to Machna Leviyah.
Machle Levi. Okay.
Now, when we fast forward and we go not the Mishkan in the desert, but you talk about the Beis Hamikdash. So the inner courtyard, the Beis Hamikdash and the inner courtyard is called Machna Shechina, and the
Mhm.
outer courtyard is called Machna Leviyah already. Or Har Habayis is all Machna
I
Leviyah.
see. Okay.
So inside past the wall on Temple Mount today, Temple Mount is Machna Leviyah.
Machle Levi. Okay, thank you.
The Gemara ends off V'hasam in Nolan. How do you know that Mechusar Kapara is not allowed to come into Machne Shechina? It says just like Ol Moed, the main Mahasam, which means Machne Shechina, and Mechusar Kapara is not allowed to come. Machne Leviyah also sometimes the Mechusar Kapara is not allowed to come if he's also missing Harav Shemesh. How do you V'hasam in Nolan? How do you know that even Machne Shechina? How do you know this halacha that a Mechusar Kapara is not allowed to come into Machne Shechina? The Tanya, Tamei Yiyeh, the pasuk here, that's to highlight the pasuk over here. Tamei Yiyeh, no good. Tamei Yiyeh, okay. Doesn't like me. Okay. Tamei Yiyeh, and then it says Otu Masabo. It's talked about over there if somebody, what does it say? That if somebody's Tamei, even if he goes to a mikvah, it's not good till he has Azar Shlishi or Shvi. The Tamei Mace, he has to have sprinkling with the many dollars of Akallav to Meyi. Yeah, Otu Masabo. The Pasuk Pshat is talking about somebody that was a Tamei Mace. He doesn't become Tohar until he has the sprinkling of the ashes on the third and the seventh day. But the more is darshaning from the repetition of the pasuk, he remains Tamei. Otu Masabo, his Tumah is still in him. So we learn out Tamei, yeah, the Rabbis Tvul Yom. Even after he went, even if he did everything right, he had Nazar Shlishi Shvi, and he went to the mikvah, he's still a Tvul Yom. Then Otumos Abo, the Rabbis Mechusik Kapora, that they're not allowed to go into the Mishkan. They're not allowed to go to the Machne Shechina, not a Tvul Yom, even a Mechusik Kapora. Even if somebody just a Mechusik Kapora that he already had Erev Shemesh, but today he has to bring a korban and he didn't bring it yet, he's not allowed to go to Machne Shechina. So this was the drasha to tell you that Mechusik Kapora cannot go into Machne Shechina, and before the Gemara made a drasha in the compact that it calls it Machne Leviyah, it calls Pesach Ol Moed, to tell you that
You can go there if it's
it's going to tell you that if he's both, it's full Yom
and
and also Mechusik Kapora, so then he cannot go even to Machne Leviyah. So that's nothing to do with our Mishnah. That's the Solsik is very interesting, but it doesn't have to do with our Mishnah. Our Mishnah was talking about a special case. If he took the haircut on the 8th day, Machlok Sheva keep it up Tarfin, at the end of Tapas Moda, but it's just going in the Pasuk. The Pasuk says that Nazir Tameh is supposed to go to them, bring the Kabbanas on the 8th day, and just to summarize the Gemara, it says in the Pasuk that Nazir Tameh brings the Kabbanas on the 8th day. Why not the 7th day? Anyway, he's not going to go to Machne Shechina. He's not going to go to Machne Shechina even on the 8th day, because he's a Mechusik Kapara. So he's only going to Machne Leviyah. If he's going to Machne Leviyah, why not bring the Kabbanas on the 7th day already? And you can't say the reason is because full Yom the Tamei Mace, because even the Tamei Mace, even the Mace himself is not to come into Machne Leviyah. So since he's only going to Machne Leviyah anyway, why can't he do it on the 7th day? And the answer is going to be because he's a Mechusik Kapara and a full Yom. Both of them together, he's not allowed to go into Machne Leviyah. And once we have this new Yisod, that someone who's doesn't have hair of Shemesh yet, and also is Chayiv with Korban, he's not allowed to go into Machne Leviyah. So when we find the same halacha by a Zav that says that a Zav that went to the mikvah on the 7th day, he's not allowed to go to Machne Leviyah. Don't derive from there that a full Yom of a Zav is like a Zav, and he can't go to Machne Leviyah yet. No, it's only if he's a Mechusik Kapara. He has to bring a korban. That's why both of them together, a Mechusik Kapara together with a full Yom, he can't go to Machne Leviyah. But a regular full Yom can go to Machne Leviyah. So this whole Gemara is very relevant to people who go to Har Bayis, that if according to Har Bayis, it comes out that there's no such halacha as full Yom, the Balkari Kebalkari. We're not going to say that he doesn't, and if he was a Balkari in the morning, he went to the mikvah and now he's at full Yom, so he could go to Har Bayis. According to what Chavrei the Rav Nosson Bar Shaya said, he wouldn't be able to go until he had Her Shemesh also.
And today, are there people that are no heg both ways? Some
What is
people,
both ways?
some
No.
people are makpid to go
To
to
have Her
the day
Shemesh?
before.
I don't know. I would think not. I would think that that's not.
Usually they go in the morning and then they
Yeah.
go before they go.
Right. They don't have to go the day before. They don't need Her Shemesh.
Yeah, but if he's a Zav Gadol and Chayiv Carbon.
If someone says up, then there's no way to go to Har Bayis nowadays. If he has korban, then there's no way to go. Am I true? Am I right?
No.
Oh, you're saying
You
think
gotta
it's
go to
high? No. Then he'd have to go the day before. If he has to bring a korban, he's a Mechusik Kapara. Not gonna nowadays can't bring a korban, so he's not going to bring a korban. And he goes to the mikvah. So we go with him. You have two problems. You can't go to Machne Leviyah. Very nice. I didn't think of that. That he's going to be.
Which one is this? Who?
But this is saying if there be somebody who's a zav today,
Someone who's up today.
that he had an emission of a ziva 3 days and 3 days. That he's a korban also. But it's only 2 times each also. But if you'd be on
Not about carry.
not about carry a zav shavua shalosh v'yis, then he's chayav a korban, and he can't bring the korban. So then, very interesting. So then he would have. There wouldn't be enough to go to the mikvah the same day. He'd have to go to the mikvah the day before. In order,
You have
to
one.
have Hashem. Then he's Mechusik Kapara. Mechusik Kapara is allowed to go into Machne Leviyah. Very nice.
So that would apply to women then.
It doesn't-
But by the zav also, by the way, it wouldn't be enough to go to the mikvah. He has to have mayim chaim. He has to have mayim chaim. A zav has to have mayim chaim. He has to go to a spring in order to become Torah. So anybody that's a zav, it's not enough to go to the mikvah. He has to go to mayim
He has
chaim.
to poitel in
In a spring,
the day before.
the day before. That's what it sounds like.
And Dr. Fine, yes.
Dr. Fine.
When he asked regarding a woman, you could have a zava, so a woman shouldn't be able to go on our backs. I'm
Or you let us.
Again,
And the
what's the question? That she's gonna. This is gonna be. On the
She would need a shemesh.
She'd have to have her shemesh first.
So she have to go the day before.
So if a woman's going to go to Har Bayis, so we're going to, and she's the Yoledes, she's chayiv korbanos over Yoledes,
Or Zava.
or a Zava if she saw 3 days in the time of Ziva, which will be Choshesh always. So the fact she's allowed to go to. Once she goes to the mikvah, she'd be allowed to go to Harabayas, but if she's also Mechusar Kapara, she would not be allowed to. So she'd have to go to the mikvah the day before in order to have an Arab Shemesh. Not the night before, the day before. Has to have a Arab Shemesh. After she went to the mikvah, she has to have the sun coming down in order that she's only a Mechusar Kapara.
Why did
He went the
The Cheshbon,
Wait the following day.
yeah, the Cheshbon sounds.
Why are we saying the day before here?
In order to get Harav Shemesh,
Get
there's something
Harav
called Harav Shemesh. Gemara came out that if a person didn't have Harav Shemesh yet, and they're also chayiv a korban that they can't bring, that they didn't bring yet, so then they can't go to Machna Leviyah. That's from the way the Rosh learns the Gemara, that's what comes out. So it's being pointed out cases that are relevant today. If people who go to Arabai, so a regular person, a regular Balkari, there's no korban over there, so he can go to the mikvah, and the same day go to Arabai, because he's a full yom, and that's where the more comes out. Full yom, the Balkari is not Balkari, no problem. But if there's also a Mechusar Kapara happening, so then he may not go to Machna Leviyah. So the cases came up. If someone would be a Zav who's chayiv a korban, so he can't bring the korban, but he has to make sure he's not a full yom. He has to have Harav Shemesh. And another case would be a woman who's the Oledes or a Zava, that she's chayiv korbanos, and she can't bring the korbanos, so she has to make sure she's not a full yom. She has to have had already Harav Shemesh in order to be able to go to Arabai.
It doesn't mean you have to wait 33 days or 66 days, so let's say,
Yeah, that's anyway. That's anyway. Have to get
it's
out
not
of the
like
doctor.
this. She doesn't go on the 32nd day, she goes on the 33rd day.
It's not enough to go. She'd have to wait till she has Harav Shemesh.
Meaning,
She'll have to go to the mikvah and then wait for Harav Shemesh after that, in order to go to Harabai.
oh, that's 34th day. Or 60s.
And then to go to the mikvah and then to wait for Harav Shemesh.
Can anybody know if there's up to that?
I think so. But Menastam, you're not choshish. If a person doesn't have to be choshish, Menastam, not choshish, the person isn't zav. A ziva is an emission that's not, and as ejaculation, it's not semen. It's a kind of a delicate, probably some kind of inflammation that comes out, some kind of an emission.
But it's not gonna really.
I don't think so. I think Dr. Fine, if you could help us, as far as I know that.
Zav is not someone
it's-
who's gonna really.
It's not clear. It may not. I don't know.
According to what the description of what a zav is, it flows, it comes out of the organ of flow without
It's
any
not considered,
ejaculation, and it's not semen, and it's probably some delicate that he has some kind of inflammation that causes, and it
I
talks
thought
about
it was spiritual, so why would it be? an
What is spiritual? What is spiritual mean?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure what it meant. There's some
What is delicate in English?
inflammation. Some.
Inflammation?
I'm not sure
I
what.
can't think of the word in English. There's a word when you have.
Infection.
Infection, yeah, what's
Okay.
an infection?
Okay, yeah.
Delicate is delicate could be.
I thought it meant.
As a human.
I thought it meant
Infection and a
So an
delicate
infection, like a bacterial infection is
Yes.
something that someone caught from some bacteria.
Yeah.
And his system got infected.
Yeah. I'm
And
not-
that can cause Zav.
I think so. What's the problem?
I thought Zav was something that was spiritual that had to do with the way he acted and not necessarily about some bacteria that came into
I don't think it's anything to do with acting.
There's nothing to do with that.
I mean, everything is physical. Anida is physical, right? Menstrual cycle is physical. Birth is
True.
physical,
True.
right? So so why did Hashem make
So
that?
then why is gonorrhea not considered? Zav?
It depends if it is or it's not because it's physical. Because according to the description of what a ziva is, so they have to look at the
Okay,
Gemara. It doesn't sound like it. In the Gemara, it doesn't sound like gonorrhea. The description of what a zav is in the Gemara, what their mission is, doesn't sound like gonorrhea.
Oh,
But that's technically it is or
that's
it's
a
not.
technical.
But it's some kind of a physical emission. That makes a person tell me that why is it so homo?
So is Rebbe saying that if somebody has an emission and they know that it's not a seminal emission, then they should have a hashash that it could be a ziva, it
Right.
could be a zav.
Some kind of an emission that comes without an ejaculation. It just flows. The word zav means to flow. It comes out. And the Gemara talks about the Mishnah. It says, "Homo to call zav." It talks about how long did the emission take? How long was it? How many seconds? And if it's one time is the only time like a Balkari. But if it was 2 times, then it's called a zav, and 3 times, he's chai b'korban.
Okay, and
That's-
so then, and one mikvah would not be enough, then there's a whole 7-day procedure, right?
Mikvah is not, is a what procedure?
7-day procedure?
No, then he has to make sure he has 7 days Nikiyim, 7 days Nikiyim, 7 days that he stopped. And then he has to go to Ma'im Chaim, he has to find the spring.
Oh, once, there's not the 3rd and the 7th, that's only for 2.
That's too much mace, but the spring of the problem.
Okay,
Okay, that was good, that, okay.
that's as far as we're going, so we're on Mem Hay.
Mem which today that stop Mem we just
We just,
enter that
we,
Mem
we put our toe
We
in.
put our toe into that Mem
Okay, fine.
We put our toe into the spring. All
Okay,
right, thank you.
I thought that I was gonna end early today, but
You're gonna end here.
I just
Looks
prepared
very
a
interesting.
little bit till the bottom, but not. Okay,
Okay.
So we're behind a little bit?
No, we're on the day, but we.
we're on the
do-
day, but we just the beginning of the day. Everybody is doing the whole daf. Today we just did
The
about.
Siyam is gonna be before Pesach, though, it seems, right? It's- we got
But it seems.
11 or 12 days, so it's gonna be before Pesach.